Hey man, what's
Oh,
going
now I
on?
can't wait to hear. I cannot wait to hear what you got to say about
That's
this.
crazy, bro.
I cannot wait. I'm very excited to talk about this. So, the guy that you see there on the graphic of the video, his name is Felipe Kendrick. Um, Let me make sure I got that right.
Endrick.
Endrick, not Kendrick. Felipe Endrick. He is a
Mhm.
professional soccer player for. Who does he play for?
Real
I think it's
Madrid.
Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. So he plays. He lives in Brazil. Felipe Kendrick team. Who does he play for? Yeah. Real Madrid. So this guy plays for Real Madrid. He's a professional soccer player from Brazil. And the reason why he is a topic on the channel tonight is because he went viral after the news went viral that he signed a relationship contract with his girlfriend. Now, this contract involves stipulations that must be adhered to by both parties, and any violation is the result of a fine. So, this is very much like a
Interesting.
professional sports contract or any contract, any term of employment. You a big time person. You sign a contract to work somewhere. There's things you got to abide by. If you don't do it, it can result in fines, terminations, all sorts of other penalties. So this guy, via his relationship contract, has been the subject of conversation recently because his relationship contract with his girlfriend went public. And wait till you see the parameters of said contract from this guy, Felipe Endrick, professional soccer player for Real Madrid. So I'll pull this up. This looks like a TikTok video where some people were talking about it on TikTok. You can see the stipulations there. I'm gonna let the video run and then I'll bring it back so that we can read these stipulations in detail. But this is a Felipe Endrick's relationship contract with his significant other.
Hmm.
You hear about young talents taking silly contracts that ruin their careers all of the time. Have you ever heard of a player sign a contract with his girlfriend? Because it's been revealed that 17-year-old Endrick has signed a ludicrous contract with his 21-year-old girlfriend. A contract where if young Endrick makes a mistake, he has to pay a fine. In public, they have to be holding hands or there is a fine. If they don't say I love you, there will be a fine. If there is any change in behavior, there will be a fine.
Endrick has a dating contract with his girlfriend, and you won't believe what's the purpose of this dating contract. The 17 years old Endrick has showed up in a stream podcast with his hot girlfriend, and she mentioned that they have a dating contract, and it contains that they're not allowed to have sex with other people, and also they shouldn't maintain any relationship with their past lovers. Also, they shouldn't leave the house or go to bed if they were mad at each other's or they had a fight, and they're not allowed to have any form of addictions.
Or drastic changes in behavior. Arguing in public while expressing I love you in all situations is mandatory. Any violations would result in monthly fines from either part.
Monthly fines. So if we bring this back here. So you hear some of the terms of this contract here. And based on the video, it isn't one sided. They both have to abide by this. It's not just him, but it is strictly forbidden to acquire any kind of addiction. Extremely forbidden to drastically change personality and behavior. Saying "I love you" is mandatory in all situations. You must always hold hands in all situations. It is strictly forbidden to discuss or argue in front of others. In any argument involving the family, you need to be on your partner's side. Don't dismiss the person's don't dismiss the person over others. Sleeping apart is strictly prohibited. Endrick promises to maintain open and honest communication, sharing thoughts, feelings, and concerns. Endrick promises to maintain emotional exclusivity, not to have romantic relationships with third parties or people they previously had relationships with. So it looks like those last two bullet points are specific to Endrick himself.
Hmm.
Uh new human behavior? Is this new human stuff here? I mean, what do you make of this, man? So this is a real story. This is not made up, and there's fines associated with this. Violation of any of these stipulations results in monthly fines. This guy is 17 years old, a professional soccer player, and this is the current construction of his life. What do you make of this situation?
I think bro's ahead of his time. I think bro is I think bro found a life hack. I think that's what he just did. Now his rules is 17-year-old rules. Okay, so my rules wouldn't be like this. But I like it. I like the concept. Um just taxing her ass. But my thing is, um what's the checks and balances on this? Do I still have to catch you red-handed? What is this? So I'm sure there's no honesty policy. If X hit her up, one day she ain't gonna say, "Hey, I talked to my ex." It was nothing. She's not telling me that. So
If there was an honesty policy, how could you possibly enforce it? How would
what do
you
you mean?
know?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Like, yeah. How do you know that they're telling the truth? Like, how do you even enforce an honesty policy?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I don't know what's going on with that. So you still would have to catch the person, I would say. And it still brings up all those weird feelings of all that weird stuff. And the feelings is the part that hurts everybody the most for the most part. Especially if it's just a relationship and it's not a marriage. So the part that hurts people the most is the infidelity and the trust breaking and all that other stuff. So that can still go on in the midst of a contract because you still would have to catch them. So I just like the premise though. I think it builds good culture. Um, I think it builds a good culture that there's something written down where there's rules that both parties agreed to follow. The fine part, um, in his world, I mean, he's got it. If he plays for Real Madrid while he's 16, 17, bro got a bag. So I'm pretty sure I don't know what they agreed on for the fines, but um, hey man, I don't know what she can do. I don't know I don't know what she does. So I don't know what the fine would do in those situations, especially if he's funding her lifestyle. So it's kind of weird. But again, I like the premise overall. I think that people need to come in a little bit more mature nowadays. I think there's a lot of immaturity in the dating market where people are just not willing to be responsible or accountable for the next person that they claim that they like or love. So having something written in black and white where people could follow the rubric, I think that's a step in the right direction. I think that's what people do when they have these conversations, but to put it on paper is a little bit more. I like that. It's a little bit more concrete. But those are just initial thoughts, man. I think bro's ahead of the curve a little bit. What are your thoughts, man? Do you feel like bro tripping here? Is this out of pocket or is this inbound?
It's unfortunately in bounds. So it's inbounds, but it's inbounds unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, you know, we haven't done a relationship topic in a while, but I can remember going back when we did relationship topics. We talk about these some of these women out here, who talk about the relationship dating pool sucks. These men are this and that, and men can't stay faithful, and men always cheat. Blah blah blah. And my retort to that was always, it's not every man who cheats. It's just the men who you want who cheat. So if you don't want to deal as much with the cheating and the relationship chaos, the relational chaos rather, um, switch up your strategy. Um, give other kinds of men a chance. Broaden your horizons, open up your options, and explore different opportunities. You might find when you do that that not every man is going to give you the same experience that you've been accustomed to. But a lot of these women cannot help themselves. They cannot help themselves. They have to date pro athletes. They have to date entertainers. They have to date rappers. Now, this isn't all women. I understand that this is not all women, but it is a growing segment of people in general, but women more specifically, in terms of their dating preferences. As social media has shrank the world from a social and communication standpoint and made it far easier for men in privileged positions, such as pro athletes and entertainers, to have direct access to women who, you know, work at Walmart, for example. Social media has made that much more of a palpable reality. So, as social media has shrank the world, what we have seen as a result is a rise in some of these very niche specific dating preferences on the part of not just women, but men as well, but more specifically women, where women kind of feel as though it is well within their wheelhouse to date extremely young. They want to date they want to date ball players. They want to date rappers. They want to date entertainers. They want to date guys who are otherwise high on the pecking order. They're rather high up on the food chain. Well, the thing is, and we've talked about the ratio, right? If all of the women are desiring to date a very small percentage of the men, because there's only like 10% of the total population of men that comprises such a specific profile. But if all of the women desire to date a man that comprises that profile, and that profile only constitutes at the most 10 to 15% of any given population, well, what do you have at that point? You're going to be sharing that guy. You're going to be sharing that guy. That's just the reality, whether you like it or not. Now, despite the fact that you're going to be sharing that guy, you still, in your heart of hearts, desire for things to be traditional. You want that guy to only want to be with you. You want that guy to only date you. You don't want him to date other women. But practically speaking, that does not make sense, because you are making yourself exclusively available to a guy who, from a profile standpoint, has plenty of other options to choose from. So the question then becomes, how do you safeguard yourself against that? Well, let's have a relationship contract. If I have to deal with these things, and if I have to deal with the constant threat of infidelity, if I have to accept this as my reality, despite the fact that I don't like it, then at the very least, I can receive, compensatory measures as a result of it. Pay me in fines. This is something that benefits her way more than it benefits him. But if I'm going to think practically on it, probably a smart move for her to be welcoming to it, because he's an international soccer star. And from what I've heard about international soccer stars, when it comes to pro athletes, we think NBA players got it good in terms of having an unlimited supply of women at their disposal. I've heard that it pales in comparison to international soccer stars.
I can believe that.
Yeah, I've heard that it pales in comparison to international soccer stars. So you a chick who's out here, you want to date an international soccer star, but maybe there's some shred of wholesome that is still a part of your, you know, personality. You don't really want the dude to be cheating on you all the time. You don't necessarily want to deal with the specter of him dealing with other women, but you can't help yourself because you need to be with pro athletes. You need to be with a soccer star. What is a recourse possibly for you to be able to mitigate any of the collateral damage that would ensue as a result of your decision to be with guys who fit this profile? Well, how about a relationship contract? Now, he can go with this all day long. He's the international soccer star. He's got the contract. He's got the bread. For him, it's probably no different than Rasheed Wallace getting technical fouls. He'll pay that fine all day, every day.
Right.
Rasheed Wallace never cared about getting teased. He used to have a budget for technical fouls every season. He did. And I think Draymond Green does the same thing. Like Draymond Green has a budget set aside for techs and suspensions. He don't care about paying them fines. This kid don't care about paying these fines. He's still going to do what he do. So who does it benefit the most? Her. Because she's a human being at the end of the day, and I don't care what nobody says. No one wants to deal with the constant specter of infidelity all the time. We can say how things are in the world and what things are willing to accept and not accept. And I'm fine with having that conversation all day, every day. But in an ideal scenario, no one wants that to be a part of their reality.
No.
Now, if you ask me, I say, hey, woman, maybe you need to not date pro athletes all the time. Maybe then you won't be dealing with this cheating and infidelity and this affection and this disrespect and dismissal stuff, all of these things that are a part of this contract. Maybe you won't have to deal with that all the time if you just don't make yourself exclusively available to guys who have this kind of profile. But I firmly believe that women like this cannot help themselves. And she's a dime a dozen because there's so many other women in the world who just can't help themselves. They want to be a part of that. They want to up their social capital. They want to up their clout. They want to be seen with these guys. They want to date these pro athletes and these entertainers and these rappers, these ballers, these high profile men, not to mention the fact that there's something about these guys that they do genuinely find more attractive than other men. So they can't help themselves. And if you're going to deal with this as a constant part of your reality, hey, go ahead, baby girl, do your thing. He signs, you sign. He's probably going to violate way more than you do. So I guess maybe the fines will help you sleep at night while he's out running the streets doing his thing as an international soccer star. And maybe from a moral standpoint, it'll help you feel better about the fact that you are accepting of this because you know that he's going to pay penalties as a result. But I definitely think that this benefits her more than him. Kudos to him if he tries to, stay faithful to the contract himself. More power to y'all. It's all well and good, I guess. But this to me is new human, new relationship stuff. I don't know if this kind of thing will trickle down to the main population. This might be something that you'll see happening more with people who are in this line of work, who live this kind of reality. The rock star lifestyle, might get wasted type of lifestyle. Shouts out to Gucci.
Mhm.
But this definitely benefits her more than him. And she's not going to stop doing this. These women like this don't stop being cleat chasers. So what can you do to reconcile your inability to cease being a cleat chaser? At the end of the day, get into a bag. And she's getting to a bag via this contract.
Yeah, it works to I guess as a young person. Wait, I hear an echo back there. All right, there we go. All right, yeah. So as a young person, this works for him. He doesn't know what's going on yet. As mature as he may be for his age, he still got a lot more to learn. I can tell by some of the rules. So, but when you young, man, you don't know what the hell's going on, and he might really like this girl like that. So how when you young, bro, everything's everything. And
17 is very young.
Yeah, it'd be times where I don't get no better than this. He's like, hey, don't get no better. So he young and he drunk in it. And I think that's what's going on. So to keep his mind secure in that little world he's living in like that, I think this works for that reality, like you said. So as for the everyday person, trying to pull that type of thing, I don't know how much people are gonna go for that, especially the fines part. Especially it's like, man, ain't nothing holding me to this. You know what I'm saying? How much it costs to void this motherfucker? You know what I'm saying? I was like, hey man, I'm taking you to small claims. All right. We signed a contract here. So does it get crazy? Do I gotta take somebody to court now? Like, over 1,500? She owed me that. Why? Well, she cheated on me with her ex. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's kind of wild, but hey, I'll take 1,500 because they be doing that stuff anyway.
Right. Exactly.
So I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I feel like little bro ahead of the curve. Now, I don't know if these aren't the right words and parts of lingo. I might have to ask Chat GPT to cook something up for your boy. But this sounds like a good little thing that people need to get themselves into, or at least on Front Street. these conversations, because I have them, man. When you're just laying down the rules of what you stand for, what your boundaries is, because you don't have boundary conversations initially, but now there's like relationship boundaries. All right, this is what I don't play. I don't play that. You know, and so when you lay those down, they know them. They still get violated. So, but I think there's a science behind having something written down, and y'all always revisiting that. Along with that contract should also be a contract of goals for the relationship. Now this is for everyday people. I can't speak for young man. He's a footballer, international, so his lifestyle is in a different universe than ours. But for what I'm saying, the average everyday person, when they're just trying to figure this out. Damn, I forgot where I was going with that. Damn. But I still think this is just a good idea overall for everyday people to probably that writing stuff down. So like goals and like headed towards something. So put it this way. I look at it like team sports. And I want to win. So whatever it takes for the team to win, I'm doing that. So and then the same thing, the same mentality has to be coming from, the partner. There is no star guard activity. There's no I in team. There's no none of that stuff. There's no me, I. It's always playing for the next person and doing the details right. Looking at it like that, even in a corporate setting for people that's not in the sports. And when the goal is written down, when there's aspirations, things that each party plans to get into, each party is dedicated to helping that person get to that next level. There's activity and nobody's bored. I think people be bored in relationships, so bored that they want to get in their phone and talk to somebody they shouldn't be. But if there's a mission and a goal that they're both fighting towards, if there's a mission that they want for their child, how they want their child to come up, and all of these good things, that this is something to build on and build towards and build up. But just merely having a contract and saying thou shalt not, thou shalt not. You know what I'm saying? God wrote 10 of them in the Bible and nobody listened, and they claim they love God. So you can write stuff down and have people fear something. But if there's a program and a culture towards building the right mentality, I think that goes a lot further than a list of do's and don'ts. So, but yeah, good luck to this young man. But I really like that thing of writing it down, because I had these conversations verbally. Oral translation only goes so far. But if you write stuff down, people can, have that seep in a lot better. So I like the concept of putting this on paper. Maybe not a contract, but I'm definitely doing the goals thing. I like that concept. So hey, shouts out to this young man, balling at a young age. I ain't mad at him.
Yeah, if he's still wet behind the ears and he still has some wholesomeness and morals and values about himself, then I don't see a problem with it. Now of course there's I need to do a little more research on who this woman is, but apparently she's like a
IG model.
Yeah, or something to that effect, right? So the thing, yeah. There you go. Yeah. So when you're dealing with that kind of thing, I do not believe that it is beneath him to protect himself via whatever means, because those individuals just don't live the same reality.
No.
And at the end of the day, I am always in favor of anyone, but men's especially, establishing boundaries that they would like to be respected. And it's not about being controlling necessarily, because if those boundaries are not something that you can adhere to, then we don't have to be together. We don't. So if she's going to enter into that, understanding that, then more power to both of them. But at the end of the day, I do also understand the reality of the world. And the reality of the world is, what is the likelihood that either of them breaks this pact? And what is the likely and who is more likely to break this pact, her or him? And without knowing extensively who she is, I'm gonna say it's him. And so this is a chit that she has in her favor to benefit her in the likely event that such a thing happens. And if I'm going to be reasonable in how I feel about that, I don't really hate it entirely, because at the end of the day, she understands what she is getting herself into. And so she is going to get what she can out of it, knowing what she is getting herself into, instead of, getting onto the internet or going onto her Instagram after he cheated on her and complaining about all men and him and how, you know, relationships suck and all men cheat and he cheats and blah 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 blah. That's one thing that this to me mitigates, and I'm all in favor of that. This to me screams accountability on her part. And if like, let's say hypothetically speaking, in the future things go south,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't work out, and they break up or whatever, if she were to talk about how he did her wrong and how it was a bad thing from the start and how she's a victim somehow, and she were to extrapolate that to relationships in general and men in general, which is what a lot of American women tend to do, especially these women who date these NBA, NFL rapper type dudes, that's what they do all the time. They victim, they you know, they are victims at that point, and they blaming the men, even though they knew what they were getting into. She can't do that. And if she does do that, it'll expose her for the complete and utter lack of accountability that she has for herself, which is on brand and no different than the rest of the women who get themselves into situations with these types of guys as well. So, I just think it's accountability all around, and it's not necessarily protection. It's just a practical approach to doing things in this new age when you're dealing with guys who got options and more options and more options and more options. It just is what it is.
Yeah. Hey, 1,000, man. Hey, let us know in the chat, y'all. Would you guys do a relationship contract? Is this something that, hey, bro, you should, it's like a poll or something that we can do for this? We should put a poll.
I gotta look at, yeah, there's a poll in the community tab. We can do a poll in community tab.
We'll put a poll in the community tab. If you saw the video and then heard about the poll, go to the poll. Let us know what you guys think when it comes to this. Would you guys do a relationship contract? You guys think this is a good idea? I kind of do. I kind of think this is a step in the right direction. It does definitely need to be refined, retooled. But just the overall concept, Dogon's in favor of it.
Yeah, I think it's a step in the right direction for the women. I don't know about the men, but we'll see. We'll see how it plays out, because bro gonna get his. Trust me, he gonna get his. That's all I know.
Yeah. Best of luck to you, Mr. Endrick.
Yeah.
Keep cooking, bro.